I'm gonna bring on a guest here. Gerry V, the great Gerry V, joining me.
Where are the sandwiches?
Oh, you weren't in the green room?
I was back there. There was nothing there. And then a guy said, give me $10. I'll get you one. Holy cow. What kind of show is this? I got to pay for a sandwich. How are you, pal? Good to see you, Dave.
Oh, it's good to see you too. To the folks watching, Gerry V did NBA analyst work for so many years. He would come on pregame show with me at the Lakers. I believe when I was with the Mavericks as well. And has been a successful talk show host over the years as well. Gerry, I just knew that you'd have some opinions on this because it's a dilemma that I was just getting into. When you've got to move like let's say Chris Beard, Texas Tech fans feel betrayed. You've been in that basketball world. How do you look at it when a guy goes to a rival?
Well, one of the hidden rules, one of the sacred rules in coaching is, as you well know, stay ahead of the parade. And when you move to another program, you buy more shelf life because they're going to give you a couple of years to get it warmed up. And then they'll give you, the other years after that. That adds an extension to your coaching life. Probably more money, some perks, needed a change. We don't always know the backstory why a guy leaves, but staying ahead of the parade, I think, is key. Fresh start, different perks in a contract. It's rejuvenating for some people when I think they've been in a place for too long. When I broke up with my girlfriend in kindergarten, I had to move along. I had to have somebody else when I went into the first grade. I got bored.
You moved on. The grass was greener on the other side.
I moved on from Ramona Boyle and went on to Bonnie Murray.
You are absolutely crazy. So where does the word loyalty, does it play a factor at all?
Well, let's look at it this way. What do coaches do when players' production diminishes? They move along to another player. What do players do if you're not producing? They take away minutes from you. Loyalty, I think, is a marketing term that is used for the convenience of parties when you're engaged in the conversation. I never thought at the big time level there was deep-rooted loyalty. Loyalty will last as long as you're successful because all the coaches are walking on a high wire act. And then when you see that net get removed, I might have to be looking, or this next season could make or break me. I've never truly believed in the concept of total loyalty at the big time level, nor do I believe in the concept of amateurism in the NCAA.
What about a coach who has had to make? I can't
believe you haven't said a word about my new hat. I got 3.
I was just going to break from the sports talk and say, tell me about that hat. You are always a great hat person.
I got a closet full of hats. Maya the Hatter in New Orleans. I've been shopping there for 18 years. They ship to me now in Charlotte. The finest hat company in the land. Traditional. And if there is a hat that is made, they got it. And if they don't have it, they can get it. So this is new. This just came in today. Milan. This is the Milan. I got 3 other ones, and my hat collection continues to expand. I had to move to a bigger place just so I can have a wing for my hats and my sneakers.
Now, when they help you down there, what is it that they know is the Gerry V look? What does that hat have to look like?
Probably the Bailey short trim, short brow type hat, but I expanded. I went to some new summer hats, some lids. I love the lids or the caps. I have a variety of those. Some people call them the newsboy hats, and then there's some other ones that are different. But my collection is vast and it is wide. It's like going from Frank Sinatra to Mick Jagger.
Why did it start? Someone in your family do it?
No, I just love hats. You got to have a attitude. Sets you apart a little bit. They're fun. It's playful. Wear it. It's a fun thing to do.
Yeah. It shows your personality. It's you. It's not me. So I'm not a hat guy, but you carry it well.
No, you'd be a good bag guy.
See, you have that actor in you. You've done some acting, right?
Yes.
You look like you could easily fit into a character,
I played Mickey. I wore a pork pie hat. I played Mickey in a comedy short feature film called Get Bingles. I was a guy that didn't own a suit, but I was an upcoming guy that was trying to get connected to the mob. and I had to earn my bones and prove myself to find this guy called Bingles that we felt he was taking part in a high stakes poker game. We were trying to save him from himself. It turns out, he was, taken by another gang of all women, and we had to come rescue him. There's a couple of new roles waiting for me once this virus thing ends, to go back to New Orleans and do another role. I think I play a Frankie, but I get killed in that one at the end.
that always, it doesn't end well, but you know what? It's acting, right?
Well, I love it. And another thing, Dave, I had a stand-up comedy tour lined up, a mini one in the Carolinas area, but it got canceled 3 times because of the virus.
I think you just went on. Hold on there.
Am I still there?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
It just cut you off.
No, there was a call coming in, but I told him I'm with the great one, so I can't take any calls. So, I'm trying to diversify. I wanted to take 6 to 8 months off, but then the virus hit, so all the plans were canceled of mini projects I wanted to do. And now I do some segments, too, on some talk radio stations with NBA stuff, basketball stuff. But I'm hoping now, when all this settles down, I'll be able to go back into new little adventures just to test different skill sets and have some fun.
So let me ask you about comedy, because I like the ones that develop their comedy off of being a great observationalist.
Yes.
Okay. They see things and I'm like, I've seen that before, but why didn't I think of it the same way? Right. What's your style?
I have journals full of material. I have been accumulating material for years. Recruiting stories, coaching stories, talk radio stories. Growing up in New York City, riding the subway, the characters that you observe, the moments with uncles and aunts and parents and friends and relatives and people, life situations, observations that I have seen. And I've always recorded themes and stories. And I wrote a lot of stuff that I was going to use. And now I rewrote a lot of different stuff to what it was like to live in isolation during the pandemic and what a guy goes through. FaceTime dating, and episodes that have taken place. Oh, you'll love it. I'll get you a front row seat. You'll love it.
No, you got to come. I mean, if you're going to do Carolinas, you'll come through Raleigh, right? So
yeah, Raleigh. There's someone calling places for me for Raleigh and Greensboro and Greenville and Charlotte. So we got to get all that going again because I'm excited about it.
Yeah, you've been a sportscasting staple in Charlotte over the years. You were in New Orleans as well. So let me go back to the basketball thing. What part of when a coach recruits a player does that player ask whether he will still be there, and what part does that play in this whole factor?
Well, there's a certain format. I think players now they get all the guidance in the world, and recruiting has taken on a whole different genre now. There's certain questions you want to ask a coach when he comes in the home. You want to ask him, and if a Roy Williams, bless him, he just retired. What a history! What a magnificent job he did at Carolina. But
we'll do him in just a second.
Sure. When a high-profile coach comes into your home, a very successful coach, you know he's going to be there. If the coach is going to be retiring soon, the word will get out, what have you. But if you're like being recruited by a high major, but it's not the real high profile coach, if it's a mid-major coach, if it's a low major coach, let's not be naive. A lot of these guys, especially the successful one, are looking for the next gig, the next big job. So it's okay for a player to ask, so coach, if I come play for you, you've had 3 great years at so-and-so, are you looking to move up to the next level? So you got to make a decision. Are you going to sign with a school because of the coach or because of the school and playing opportunity? And that's the decision a player has to make.
All right. So Roy Williams, where would you rank him as one of the greats?
Oh, he's one of the all-time greats. He's won 3 titles. He took Kansas to the NCAA's. Goodness, what looked like every year he went. He's one of the most successful coaches, top 4 winning coaches, top 5 in the history of college basketball. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the all-time great coaches at North Carolina and at Kansas. He's been magnificent. I remember meeting Roy Williams when he was selling those calendars as a JV coach at North Carolina out of the trunk of his car back in the day. So here is a guy that has earned every coaching bone in his body over the years. He has earned it. And the timing was right when he went to Carolina after the great success that he had at Kansas. My goodness. And you know what? I feel bad. Well, actually, there's more serious things happening. I feel bad for the people we lost during the pandemic. I feel bad for what's happened to us. But to take it out of that lane and put it in this lane, Dave, I feel bad that Coach had to end it on a year where the crowd noise could not give him his final moments of adoration and thank you. There is something very special of that moment when people know you're leaving and the whole place stands up to acknowledge and to recognize all you've done. It's just like, you don't want to do a show in an empty room. I feel bad he didn't get that. And I think that added to the fatigue and the mental wear and tear on him, because there were the ups and downs during the season. Games canceled, players this, the virus, the whole atmosphere was different. So I was hoping he could go out in a better atmosphere, so he would experience what I call that Frank Sinatra moment where everybody's up and applauding you for a magnificent career.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you and I are in charge of the search committee in the basketball world, the name associated with anything North Carolina immediately comes up, all those names. Is that an overrated philosophy that a person with the history there is going to be more successful?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think in this day and age it is. I think North Carolina, which is one of the elite programs in the history of college basketball, and they do have an illustrious family of former Tar Heels.
Yeah.
Davis, you have Stackhouse, you have others, but you got to ask yourself, North Carolina is a program that must always be in the NCAAs and compete for the national title. The decision, I think that smart programs already have a list of a few candidates they would like to pursue for that big job. Now, will they go outside of the family? I don't know if they will, but if I were them, it wouldn't, and who am I? I mean, I have two daughters that went to Carolina. I've never worked there, but if I'm the athletic director, I'm making that hire, I'm bringing a guy in that can bring me back to the national title hunt. And I don't care if he was a Carolina guy or not. I want a basketball guy. A name that comes to mind with me that I would sneak in the back room and make a phone call to talk to his reps would be Billy Donovan. He was a great one. Florida. He won 2 titles. He's coached in the pros. Players are looking to go to the pros.
Absolutely.
He's got the pedigree of success at the big time level. He plays the style that's very attractive to the fan base. He knows what the transition is about, college to pro. He's got all that. It helps in the recruiting angle, although you and I could recruit for North Carolina. And then another name came up today who has no coaching experience, somebody asked me about, was Kenny Smith. And a former Carolina guy said to me, why the hell would you want to talk to a Kenny Smith for? He's never coached, no experience. Well, today a lot of kids watch television.
Yeah, they do.
And they know Kenny Smith through the TNT show that he does with Charles Barkley.
Yep, that's their environment.
And Ernie Johnson. So he has instant recognition when he walks into Homer and the recruits, and he can hire assistants. So I don't know. But let me tell you, God, what a decision to make. That next guy also has to have and understand the longevity. You want him to be there 10 plus years. So you want him young enough to endure all of that and make that. What a job opening, right?
The other side, though, Gerry, tells me that this generation young person does not follow the history as much. So to them, having a pillar of North Carolina history isn't as important. Same in baseball. They don't remember the guys to the 70s and 80s. They didn't follow it.
You got guys in the NBA. You got some young players in the NBA that don't follow the history as much as they should on who allowed and opened the doors
That's
for everybody
true.
to do certain things. It's the very special guy that does.
Yeah.
And there are some guys in the NBA, LeBron James and others, Kobe Bryant had it, that have tremendous respect for the history of the game. But you are correct. North Carolina, the elite schools are always going to attract the top shelf talent.
Yep.
Always. So whoever walks in on that recruiting pitch, you know, if North Carolina is involved with a player, other elite programs are involved with a player, and then the players check the list and they say, well, I'm a point guard. Kentucky already signed a point guard, so I'll take them off my list. I can go here. Oh, look, they signed a great swing player that can score. I can match up with him. Players are smarter today as far as where they go because, you know, if it's a top 5, top 6 team coming after you, they're all top 5 and top 6. Yeah. And also, where is your heart? A lot of guys want to go to North Carolina, but your point is a very valid one.
All right. You were very, very generous with your time. Let me ask you one NBA thing.
Basketball with a hat like this on. No,
you know what? I've kept a straight face, right? No, I think it looks good. I can't wait to come to Charlotte and go to dinner with you, you know, dressed like that. I'll have to pick up my game. Now, let me ask you one thing. Is the NBA game, which you were around for a long time, and I was as well, is it better today than the old days? Do you enjoy watching this better than other generations, or did you like them all for various reasons?
I love the NBA game. I got the opportunity to see Bird and Magic and Kareem and all the way through over 22 years of broadcasting and watching games. The thing that I miss in today's NBA game, there is one aspect of the old school that I love. I love the beat the guy off the dribble, get to the lane, hit the mid-range jumper or the floater. I like to incorporate that in the game. There are times I'm overwhelmed with the number of threes that are taken.
Yeah.
I miss some of the artistry that the other aspects of the game bring. But I love the game, but I wish they would bring back a little more offensive diversity to the game as far as offense is concerned. I would limit the 3. I would say you can't take the 3, but at certain times in a ball game.
Hey, that would make for some interesting rules, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, V man, I love being with you always. I had to bring back the old days. Thanks for being ready to go at a moment's notice.
Stay safe and healthy, okay?
Okay.
Right,
yeah.
Right,
thanks so much. Just hit that lead studio down there. Thanks a lot, Gerry V.
My pleasure.
See you on the comedy circuit soon. All right, Gerry Vaillancourt, one of the all-time greats. I always tried to schedule some very interesting NBA pregame shows, and Gerry was always the must-have for whether I was in Dallas or doing the Lakers pregame show as well. He was just one of those guys. Del Curry was another one. Former Illini Eddie Johnson was another one. Big Cedric Maxwell, Cornbread, with the Celtics broadcast. He was truly great as well because the way these guys saw the game. And so when I was thinking of this, I said, I got to see if Jerry's up this afternoon. Sure enough, he's picking out a hat and ready to come on. I hope you enjoy these kind of things. I do as well. Jeff out there, thank you. Cards up 9-3. It's opening day. Go Cards. I know all my Cub fans here on Facebook, at least. I know you're shaking your fist at me, but we'll have our normal back and forth this year. And I'll definitely be texting Boog Shambi, the new Cubs announcer, several times because when the Cards play, that's going to be important. But I'm happy for him being in Cubs land. So that's a good one. Brad Adams, thank you. I think I put up Mark earlier, Mark Sensman. Back from my college days. He loves the banter, living now in the Hoosier State again. Yeah, IU fans, they were gripping. I think it's very interesting. I mean, that's why I wanted to get into it with Gerry is that I don't know. You know, when you're around the baseball game and you talk to the players, there was a lot of things that stood out that were very interesting. One thing, when we used to go to spring training, the older guys, Glavine, Maddox, those kind of guys, at the end of the day, golf course. Today, no. not the young players. And so then, you'd be doing sit down interviews or something at spring training, and you realize that the rest of the guys, because I'd be at the Dodgers spring training or whatever. And, when you look around the coaches and you're like, hey, I'm a young guy. I could get better at some stolen bases. Hey, there's Davey Lopes. and it just wouldn't click in that, hey, this guy used to, lead the league in stolen bases and he was pretty good. And I'd ask Davey, I'd say, hey, do they try to pick your brain? And he says, no, I got to go find them because they don't read their history and realize this is one of the greats. Can you imagine having Willie McGee as your assistant coach? Or, Mark McGwire was an assistant on the bench in baseball. It's just they're loaded with guys who know things. I got to tell you one. We were getting ready for a baseball game on ESPN radio, and one of the things that I would always set up is we would talk to the managers beforehand. And some of them are just fantastic. Just the amount of things that you learn that you'll hear in the broadcast. That is just probably the highlight of me doing games and producing games was that time that we had. Well, we were with my good friend Gabe Kapler, who was in Philly at the time, I believe, as the Phillies coach, manager. And Rick Sutcliffe was with. And the conversation got to a couple of pitchers or whatever, and Sut, being a former great pitcher, he stood up and he's showing how a guy can change the complexity of his pitch or the speed of his pitch or anything just by the way he comes down on that leg on the front of the mound. And Gabe is he's a baseball nut already, and so he's just fascinated. He's like, really? Oh, that's really interesting, and so suddenly it's just a conversation of two baseball guys comparing little things. It's amazing around the hitting cage to see the one little adjustment that someone with a really good eye like Don Mattingly will notice, and that's why they sit there and they watch time and time again. It's just an inch off or something like that. But it was fascinating that you could affect a lot of things by how forceful you came down on that leg or how soft you came down on the leg. And guys like that, they learned all the unique things because they weren't throwing 102, 99 miles an hour. They really had to come up with some creativity. So I don't know how I got off on that, but I think it's because Jeff gave me that. Dolph, what's up to you? Back to you, man. Thank you for loving the show. Thank you for tuning in. And Dolph gets to hail from Miami, which is a far cry from Illinois, where we were from, right? Right, Dolph? Always one of my favorite stops on the NBA circuit, even though you definitely are going to have some late nights out on the scene. So very interesting with Roy Williams. Very, very prestigious job. I think I said with Coach K possibly coming soon, stepping off to the sunset. I think maybe it could be two very valuable jobs in this conference. And then with Chris Beard, I know you Texas fans are happy, but I know Texas Tech fans. And let me just say, here's why I'm torn. When I spent those last 5 seasons of Coach Knight there at Texas Tech, I'd fly in and out from Dallas to do the television game, sit with Coach. We would tape the Sirius XM national show. And so I was around in some unique times. And Coach delegated a lot to Chris Beard. And so Chris really kept the guys on the same page. He was an X's and O's genius. So I'm really happy for all the guys. I'm sad for the guys that lost. I'm always sad when guys that I know they lose their job. Because there's just so much pressure, and I know they get paid well, but it's been really fun to watch some of the guys. So, and I know our Fighting Illini are out. So I have Gonzaga still in a pool. So I guess I'm pulling for that perfect season. I also noticed today that Facebook, which we're live on Facebook, they have unveiled their mind reading wrist device. Some things are just, they're going to help me tell my age. things are just going to go right over my head. This was one of them. The mind-reading wrist device and augmented reality keyboard that will allow users to replace the mouse and keyboard in future products and then maybe read the mind of what you're thinking. No, thank you. I hope that doesn't just transpire on the screen right now in that world of the augmented reality. I think I'm just going to have to stay in real reality. I've got an announcement next week. Okay, an exciting new podcast that with a couple of buddies, and we're putting together some great business and motivational and marketing and all kinds of stories. But you'll have to wait till next week. But we'll need you to subscribe to that podcast. But we were having one of our virtual sessions today, and we wished we would have recorded a video podcast on our lunch session today, because we could not have been three older, out of touch computer guys than trying to figure out a couple of our new computer website things. So we were so out of touch from being able to navigate through the complexity of the computer world. Well, I hope everything else is well with all of you. Oh, I know. I was going to show you this. This time I don't go back into the Wayback Machine. Okay. Let me add this to the stream here. All right. So this is Michael Carter II from Duke. And that is a young man flying. Okay. But I wanted to highlight him. That was one of the fastest times you'll see. He's going to be in the NFL draft as a defensive back. And so all the best to him. But he lost his grandmother to ALS, and he has been doing the Inches Against ALS charity fundraiser based on this exact workout right here, where he did the vertical leap. And let me remove myself from there. Okay. He did 35.5 inches. And so he's raised over $2,000 for our ALS Association North Carolina chapter. But what a wonderful thing. We can easily criticize people's playing ability, and I hate the fact that people have been tweeting and sending messages to these athletes who lost NCAA tournament games, because it just breaks my heart, because but this young man went and got his degree at Duke and is still going to go in the NFL draft. So wish the best, and thank you for him doing that, his agent as well. But there's a lot of good in young people out there, and so I try on this show to highlight and keep things inspirational and motivational, because there's way too many times in the media when everything's just going to be woe is us, and isn't this the worst possible thing? That's the worst part about sports talk that I used to hate, was the fact that we couldn't highlight just some of the great stories. Oh, one more. Have any of you been on as to what the latest has been on, like, baseball cards? Have you seen baseball cards? Anybody that collected baseball cards as a kid, that you could have your cards graded by PSA. They're so backed up now, they're not taking any more cards, because suddenly it's just so popular. People do streams like this of opening up unopened packages of Pokemon cards, baseball cards, football cards. It's amazing. I thought that those had a currency level of about 1 cent anymore a few years ago, and people were just getting rid of them. Now you can't hardly order them on Amazon without a backlog, and everybody wants the wax packs that, of course, you see the warning of don't chew the gum, as if you would chew a piece of Topps bubble gum from 25 years ago, but somebody probably has done it. If they enjoyed a Tide Pod, they probably didn't mind a piece of gum. But so on my desk, wherever I've been, I've had I think I've shown you this another time. I'll just have a pile of cards, because sometimes, just to break the monotony, or during a meeting or whatever, you just kind of look through. And so none of my cards would probably be graded as excellent or perfect, because I don't believe in having something just for the sake of having it stuffed away in a safety deposit box. So my baseball ones are on top. So, they're a random selection of guys. There's Andy Van Slyke. All right, now, yes, he's in a Pirate uniform, but I remember him as a St. Louis Cardinal. Here's Curt Schilling when he pitched for the Philadelphia Phillies, one of his Topps cards. Here's one of the greats of all time, Hall of Famer Gary Carter. Gary Carter was one of those first athletes that sent me back a card when I was a kid and wrote to me, "Hi, Dave, signed Gary Carter," or something like that. Here's Greg Swindell, a great old former Texas pitcher. Look at this one. Look at this. Now, this one I did put in a little plastic case. You got the young Mark McGwire, who had not ate a lot of protein at that point and bulked up. So then I've got football cards. I got Brett Jones and Brent Jones, Stan Brock, Jack Trudeau from Illinois fame, right? So I just have these here because it brings back good memories. But I saw that the other day that you can no longer send a card in for a while to have it graded because there's so many people trying to, I guess, get their cards graded so that they can make some money. All right, well, that's going to do it. I usually try to keep it about 40 minutes. I shoot from the hip, try to see if we can get some guests on. I corresponded with Ryan Leaf. Ryan's been doing some great things to tell people his story over the years. So I'll see if I can get Ryan on. My man, Sean Salisbury, if you're watching, I appreciated that you attempted to come on tonight, but he's working out a couple of young quarterbacks that he's helping. But my former radio partner, he'll join me here in the coming week. So we'll try to get some fun guests. Yeah, a lot of them are sports related because that's kind of the fun that I have, and hopefully it's a little entertainment value to you. But we'll get a couple business ones as well from the world of business as well. So, hey, thanks a lot, Darren. Let's put yours up real quick. Darren, I dug out my card collection a month ago, and I had quite a few open. Oh, okay. I'll just let them keep raising in value. LOL. Darren, you like Dolph and some others. You know where we grew up, Paxton, Illinois. I would go down to the Index. You remember the Index on Main Street? And I would go in and buy however many packs of cards I could afford on my allowance at the time. But that was like the biggest thing in the world. I didn't put them on my bike spokes or anything like that. But, man, I've got them still. I can't throw them away. They just hold that much value. All right, so funny things hit me during the week. We'll talk about it again Friday. Sorry I'm going to be gone tomorrow, but that's why we did it tonight. And I know there wasn't as big of an audience, but hope you watch this on the replay of it. And also, next week I'm going to move to a YouTube channel to house all these, so I'll ask you to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. This weekend be in Virginia. The fine folks at Ragged Branch Distillery is always one of my favorite distillery stops, and they have some wonderful things, and they're going to put together a little auction package for us here at the ALS Association too for our upcoming auction that we're going to have. So I'll post some pictures of that trip. I hope you have a blessed Easter weekend, everyone, and that you enjoy yourself and you're safe as we continue to get in a time period when we can hopefully get out and attend a live sporting event or something like that. Thanks again, everyone. Appreciate you watching, and have a good rest of your weekend.